They say money can't buy happiness, but it certainly can buy a house bigger than most airports. From billion-dollar palaces with 700 rooms to skyscraper homes in the middle of Mumbai, these are the world's most jaw-dropping mega mansions. Stay tuned till the end, because the last one will surely blow your mind. 1. Antilia, Mumbai, India. If there's one mansion on this list that redefines what a house even is, it's Antilia. Calling it a mansion almost feels misleading, because what Mukesh Ambani built in the heart of Mumbai is less a home and more a vertical kingdom. This 27-story skyscraper doesn't just dominate the skyline, it bends it to its will. Rising above one of the most crowded cities on Earth, Antilia covers over 400,000 square feet. To put that into perspective, it's nearly 4 times the size of the White House. Yet, unlike most buildings of that size, it isn't filled with offices, or suites, or luxury apartments. This ultra-luxurious skyscraper belongs to a single family. Inside, every floor is a spectacle. 6 of them are dedicated entirely to parking enough space to house Ambani's fleet of high-end cars, which is essentially a rolling museum of automotive excess. Up on the roof, 3 helipads, because why rely on Mumbai traffic when you can just drop into your own private airspace? And then there's the ballroom crystal chandeliers, woven with gold leaf, polished marble underfoot, and ceilings so high they feel like they belong in a palace rather than a private residence. But Antilia isn't just about opulence, it's also about functionality on a scale that's almost unfathomable. There's a private spa, a snow room that literally creates man-made snowfall in tropical Mumbai, and even a full-scale movie theater. Keeping all of this running smoothly requires a staff of around 600 people: chefs, cleaners, security, technicians, and managers. Imagine living in a house where the staff alone could fill a luxury cruise liner. But if you think Antilia's 3 helipads and snow room are a bit much, just wait until we hop across the globe to Los Angeles, where one mansion tried to outdo them all by being, quite literally, the one. 2. The One Bel-Air, California. Now, let's swap the chaotic streets of Mumbai for the sunlit hills of Bel-Air, where luxury homes line the slopes like jewels scattered across velvet. But even here, amidst mansions worth hundreds of millions, there is one that towers above them all, quite literally. It's called The One, though ironically, it might be more accurate to call it The Everything. Spanning 105,000 square feet, this estate doesn't just flirt with excess, it marries it. Step inside, and it feels less like a residence and more like you've stumbled into a luxury resort that accidentally forgot to add a check-in desk. There are 21 bedrooms and 49 bathrooms, because apparently, you can never have too many bathrooms. There's a full-service spa, a private bowling alley, a 50-car garage, a nightclub that could rival some of Los Angeles's most exclusive venues, and even a beauty salon so you never have to leave your own estate to look red carpet ready. But what makes the one particularly fascinating is its story. Originally envisioned as the ultimate billionaire's palace, it was listed for an eye-watering $500 million, $500 million for a single home. Yet, in a twist of real estate irony, the developer defaulted and the property went to auction. Even with all that baggage, it still sold for $141 million, making it one of the priciest sales in United States history. The One feels like a dare made real, as if someone asked, what if we combined every over-the-top luxury idea into one property? And then someone actually built it. It's the physical embodiment of Los Angeles excess, perched on a hill, daring the world to look away. But where California brings the modern spectacle, the French Riviera brings history and romance. And tucked along the sparkling Côte d'Azur sits an estate so grand, it once belonged to a king. 3. Villa Leopolda, Côte d'Azur, France. From the glitz of Bel-Air, we head to the French Riviera, where luxury takes on a different kind of flavor. Here, extravagance is less about flash and more about heritage, elegance, and views that stretch endlessly across the Mediterranean. Nestled into 50 acres of prime coastline is Villa Leopolda, an estate so storied that it's almost as famous for its history as it is for its jaw-dropping price tag. The villa was originally built for King Leopold II of Belgium in the early 20th century, which already tells you subtlety wasn't part of the design brief. Over the years, it has housed royalty, aristocrats, and billionaires. And at one point during World War II, It was even converted into a military hospital because apparently even soldiers recovering from injuries deserved to gaze out over the Riviera's turquoise waters. Today, Villa Leopolda stands as one of the grandest private residences in Europe. The mansion itself boasts 11 bedrooms and 14 bathrooms, each dripping in old-world charm, but it's the grounds that truly set it apart. 50 acres of terraced gardens, olive groves, and lavender fields cascade down to a private beach. To maintain this paradise, a staff of 50 full-time gardeners. That's right, an entire squad of people whose sole mission in life is to keep the estate's landscaping flawless. The villa has also been the subject of some of the wildest real estate deals in history. In 2008, a Russian billionaire agreed to buy it for $750 million before abruptly backing out. The result? He lost a $50 million deposit. For most of us, that's a life-ruining catastrophe. But for the super-rich, apparently, it's just the cost of changing your mind. But here's the kicker. Just a short drive down the Riviera lies its botanical rival. Villa Les Cèdres, a lush paradise that feels more like a living museum than a home. 4. Villa Les Cèdres Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat, France. If Villa Leopolda is grandeur on a royal scale, then Villa Les Cèdres is its quieter, older, and perhaps even more sophisticated cousin. Built in 1830 on the glittering peninsula of Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat, this estate doesn't just sit on prime Riviera real estate, it defines it. With 18,000 square feet of living space and sprawling botanical gardens, this mansion feels less like a house and more like a living museum of luxury. At one point, it too belonged to King Leopold II, making him the reluctant landlord of two of the Riviera's most jaw-dropping estates. But unlike the palatial sprawl of Leopolda, Les Cèdres leans into an older, Belle Époque aesthetic. Think gilded woodwork, high frescoed ceilings, and chandeliers that seem like they've been plucked from Parisian opera houses. Its 14 bedrooms whisper aristocracy, and its wood-paneled library, stacked with 3,000 rare books, leans heavily into one-theme botany. That's because its 35 acres are essentially a paradise for plant lovers. Boasting over 15,000 species of exotic and rare flora, the estate even features an Olympic-sized pool, carved directly into the coastal cliffs, because why settle for a backyard pool when you can swim with Mediterranean views wrapping around you? Villa Les Cèdres went on the market in 2017 for a staggering $410 million, making it the most expensive residential listing in the world at the time. Eventually, it sold in 2019 for around $200 million. A discount, maybe, but still the kind of discount only billionaires would dare call reasonable. 5. Witanhurst, London, UK. Now, let's swap the warm Mediterranean breeze for the misty streets of London, where history and wealth meet in a decidedly different way. Nestled in Highgate, one of London's most exclusive neighbourhoods, is Witanhurst, a Georgian revival mansion so massive, it makes most of the city's stately homes look like quaint cottages. At nearly 90,000 square feet, it's the second largest private residence in London, second only to Buckingham Palace. From the outside, Witanhurst exudes old-world English charm. Sweeping lawns, grand porticos, and a facade that whispers aristocracy. But step inside, and you're met with interiors that rival royal palaces, sweeping staircases, wood-paneled ballrooms, and chandeliers that could double as spaceships hovering overhead. It's the kind of grandeur that practically demands a glass of champagne in hand as you descend the stairs. But here's where it gets truly jaw-dropping: the underground. Beneath this historic home lies a 3-story basement expansion that turns Witanhurst into a billionaire's playground. We're talking a 70-foot swimming pool, a luxury spa, a private movie theater, and parking for 25 cars. Imagine digging out a subterranean world beneath your mansion just to host lavish parties or escape London rain in style. For years, Witanhurst's ownership was shrouded in secrecy, adding a mysterious aura to its grandeur. Eventually, it was revealed to be owned by a Russian billionaire. Because, of course, who else would dig a 3-story private world beneath a 19th-century estate? Still, if London's mansions lean on old-world opulence, Beverly Hills takes the opposite approach: modern, flashy, and fueled by Hollywood glam. Which is why Palazzo di Amore is less of a home and more of a private vineyard meets party palace. 6. Palazzo di Amore, Beverly Hills, California. From London's rainy aristocracy, we fly back to sun-drenched California, where wealth doesn't just shine, it dazzles. Tucked into the hills of Beverly Hills is Palazzo di Amore, a name that translates to Palace of Love. Though judging by its features, it might as well mean Palace of Endless Parties. Sprawling across 53,000 square feet, this estate blends over-the-top Hollywood glamour with a surprising twist. It doubles as a working vineyard. Yes, while most mansions of this scale are content with infinity pools and private theaters, Palazzo di Amore decided to add wine production to the mix, yielding about 400 to 500 cases a year. Imagine inviting your guests over for dinner and casually serving them a bottle of wine produced in your own backyard. The home itself is no less extravagant. Inside, you'll find 12 bedrooms, 25 bathrooms, and an entertainment complex that rivals most Vegas hotels, complete with a ballroom, bowling alley, and a private theater. Outside, terraced gardens cascade down the hillsides. Reflecting pools shimmer under the California sun. And a private lake with a floating pavilion provides a centerpiece worthy of a movie set. Listed once for $195 million, Palazzo di Amore remains one of the most expensive properties ever to hit the Beverly Hills market. It's less a home and more a declaration that in Hollywood, life isn't just meant to be lived, it's meant to be performed. But speaking of palaces, no list would be complete without the palace. Because while Beverly Hills boasts wine cellars and nightclubs, Buckingham Palace is still the benchmark for royal extravagance, a mansion so big it's practically its own postcode. 7. Buckingham Palace, London, UK. When it comes to expensive mansions, Buckingham Palace sits in a league of its own. It's not just a house, it's practically an empire wrapped in stone. Valued at around $4.9 billion, this is the crown jewel of the Crown Estate. And yes, it technically belongs to the monarchy, not just King Charles. But let's be honest. It's the closest thing to a family home on this scale that you'll ever find. Spread across 775 rooms, Buckingham Palace is less cozy royal residence and more mini-city under one roof. It boasts 78 bathrooms, 92 offices, and 52 royal and guest bedrooms, because when you're royalty, you need a bedroom for every possible mood. The palace doubles as both a functioning workplace and a home, with over 400 staff members keeping the gears of royalty turning. And then there's the spectacle of it all. The grand ballrooms, gilded staterooms, endless corridors, and world-famous balcony where the royal family waves at the masses. Buckingham Palace isn't just a house, it's a global symbol of power and pageantry. The art collection inside? Priceless. The chandeliers? Blinding. The gardens? A casual 40 acres of landscape perfection tucked right in the middle of London. Of course, with so much history packed into its walls, it's less about personal indulgence and more about legacy. Still, if you've ever wondered what it feels like to live inside a national monument, this palace answers that question with gold leaf on top. And yet, even Buckingham bows its head to one estate. Because before there was royal luxury, there was Versailles, the gold-drenched chateau so massive and expensive, it nearly brought down an entire nation. 8. Chateau de Versailles, Versailles, France. If Buckingham Palace is royal excess, then Chateau de Versailles is where the entire idea of living large was invented. Valued today at a staggering $50 billion, this estate isn't just a home. It's a symbol of monarchy so over the top that it literally bankrupted France. The numbers alone are absurd. The chateau spans 721,000 square feet, with more than 700 rooms, 1,250 fireplaces, and 67 staircases, all sprawled across 24 acres of manicured grounds. The gardens are practically their own kingdom, designed with geometric precision, fountains that defy engineering, and enough statues to populate a small country. But the true showstopper is the Hall of Mirrors, a gallery lined with 357 mirrors that reflect endless sunlight into a golden blaze. Back in the 17th century, mirrors were rarer than private jets, so covering an entire hall in them was basically Louis XIV's way of saying, "Look at me, I'm richer than God." Spoiler, it worked. Versailles wasn't just a home, it was a statement of absolute power. Kings and queens lived here, surrounded by unrivaled opulence, while the rest of France, well, they were starving. This disconnect famously helped spark the French Revolution, proving that sometimes your mansion really can be too big. Today, Versailles remains one of the most iconic palaces in the world, visited by millions who walk its halls and marvel at its impossible grandeur. If mansions could talk, Versailles would probably whisper, "You may live in luxury, but you'll never live like this."